Okay, this is for Mike Christie and Merle Curry of Channel 4's 2-4 Productions. I think I've got a good idea for your film about people with disabilities doing extreme activities. But first let me introduce myself.
My name is Mark Brereton and I'm a helicopter pilot.
Just over the trees that way and then back down again.
And I'm also a paraplegic and actually just learnt to fly helicopters within the last year or so, managing to find adaptive ways of attaching the wheelchair to the helicopter. And what I do now is I spend a lot of time flying disabled people around and air cadets.
Alright, okay.
I love it.
Alright, let's go back in.
Good flying, sir.
Likewise, thank you.
Now, I was injured back in 2007 in a motorcycle racing accident.
See the battles going on. There's Damon and then Tommy Hayden in 6th position. The race ended.
I was only an amateur motorcycle racer, but I managed to race in a few professional races until in 2007 I had this crash and put me into hospital as a paraplegic at level T3. However, it wasn't too long before I managed to figure a way to get back onto the motorcycle at the same racetrack that I originally injured myself. And it was an emotional time, but I even realised at that point that motorcycle racing was definitely a part of my past. So I mixed the world of motorcycle racing and cycling to create a electric assist for hand cycles, a motor that I premiered at a qualification race for the 2012 Olympics and was promptly disqualified from that race. So then I moved on and tried some other activities, including skydiving and also scuba diving. Now, living in America, of course, it's important to have lots of guns and things to shoot at, and that's great for people with disabilities. There's always plenty of things to shoot at, and of course there's water sports as well. Especially if you like the taste of water. And I even went on to try some stand-up comedy. A swing set that I had installed failed, and I'd installed the swing set in the master bedroom. And it couldn't take the weight of both me and my wife. And so it collapsed, and we fell on what we can only describe as a toy. But my main love has always been flying. So much so that I decided to fly my helicopter to my place of work, and I work as an accountant for a pharmaceutical company.
Let's not forget the important things. There we go, put that there. Boom, right. Tell you what, this is the nicest drive home from work I've ever had. I'll tell you something, when I became a paraplegic, I tried not to think too far ahead into the future. But even despite that, you kind of know that you're not going to do things that you wanted to in the past. And flying a helicopter would definitely be on that list. And it just goes to show you that that you never know. you never know. You never know what's next or what's around the corner.
So I guess that's it. This is my amateur attempt at a little promo here, but I do realise how fortunate I am, and I get what you guys are really trying to do. You're trying to share this stuff.
Alright, how's that?
This is awesome.
1 arrow.
And this is the flying. That's how high we are. That's how fast we are.
And that's what I like to do. I really do like to share all these experiences with, be they kids or other handicapped people, because I know what it means. I know what it means to me, so I think I know what it means to them as well.
That's good.
That's awesome.
I knew you'd like the left. The left is the best.
Right, you want to know what the hardest extreme activity I take part in? That's holding down a full-time job working as an accountant for a pharmaceutical company in Atlanta, driving over 100 and something miles every day, spending over 2 and something hours in the car all the time. But honestly, if I want to compete with other able-bodied people in the workforce, then I just have to suck that up and deal with it. No, but having a job is the best thing I think that anybody, regardless of whether they've got a disability or not, can have, because it gives you independence, it gives you choices, and it lets you give back to society, to be a part of the world, and that's really important. But I've only got this job because somebody looked at me and they said, yeah, he should be able to do that job. And that's not true of everybody, and that's part of the problem I've got, is that society in general has got such a low expectation of what a disabled person is likely to be able to do. There are people that are amazed that I can drive. How am I going to get a job if people are amazed I even made it to the interview? So it's all about recalibrating people's expectations as to what disabled people can do, and that's where I think that your film can do a great service, and I'd love to be part of helping with that in some way. The only risk involved is that you don't end up patronizing disabled people. You send a disabled person on a bungee jump and make a big deal out of it and they get a pat on the back. That's great, but nobody should be getting a pat on the back for doing a bungee jump. It almost confirms society's expectations, or low expectations, as to what disabled people can do. They think they're all sitting in care homes watching TV, and wouldn't it be great if somebody could put them in a sailboat and they could have a nice day outside? So I think you don't want to turn it into some kind of, sort of Jim will fix it for disabled people that's kind of patronizing. But that's where my idea comes in. For each extreme activity, you have two disabled people. One who is the newbie who wants to try it and has never tried it before. The other is a disabled person that already does that activity. I promise you, it may take a little bit of extra work looking and finding, but for every extreme activity you can imagine, there are a bunch of disabled people who are already doing it. If somebody wants to experience a race car, then find a paraplegic race car driver. There's lots of them out there. That way you get to showcase two individuals. One person who hasn't done it, who wants to do it, and you get their great reaction. And the other person is probably a really interesting disabled person who has worked out how to do something for themselves. So whether it's flying an airplane, flying a helicopter, skydiving, racing, what have you, that's how I would love to see the program growing. But I think it's a great idea that you've got. I'd love to hear more about it myself. I'd love to be involved in some way, shape or form. As for myself, I'm going to continue doing what I do, and that's working, providing for my family and doing as much crazy and interesting stuff as I can in my spare time. And if it involves flying to work in a helicopter and landing in the corporate car park outside, I enjoy that, because that's something I always dreamed of doing before my accident, flying a helicopter. And fortunately, I found a way not to let my disability stop me from being able to do that. Anyway, I look forward to seeing what you come up with, and I'd love to be involved if I can. All right, thank you.